What's going on, everybody? This is Afro Think Tank. And today's episode is going to be about racist people and the true fear. What's really going on, worldwide, what it's really about at the end of the day, deep down in their heart, deep in the recesses of their brain, in and as a group, of people, socially, collectively, in their back of their minds, just like the elephant in the room, this overwhelming thing, that that really is the reason why the seed for every odd every odd act that you see them do, every irrational emotion and action that they do, every evil thing that they do, everything, like every way, even from their institutions, how they justify it, how racism and oppression is, how it's in there, how it's baked in every facet of society, every every industry, every science, every art, everything, and why, what is the actual reason. And I'm gonna break it down. I'm gonna kind of talk from their perspective, just so you can really know at the end of the day, no matter what the flavor is, what the main ingredient really is. And it's all about preventing the genocide of their people. Let me say it again. It's all about preventing the genocide of their people, as far as they are concerned. It's about preventing the elimination of their entire race from the planet Earth. Okay? The imminent elimination of their entire people group from planet Earth. Okay? That's what everything is about. Okay? And if you were, if as an organism purpose is to survive and to multiply. Okay, that is the basic. That I mean, nature. That's all the way down to the basics of nature. You consume, you excrete, you multiply, you live, you kill, you survive until the end. That's what you do. That's what everything does. That's what everybody wants to do, is to survive. Okay? So if you're a group of people who knows that they are a smaller group of people, okay, as far as smaller group of people, as far as population, if you are a group of people who have encountered other people who you perceive to be superior in culture, far as history is concerned, who appears to be dangerous, far as adversary, far as making war, far as fighting for resources, far as multiplying. When you see an organism that becomes your competition in nature, you want to eliminate that. You don't want to compete with large numbers of an adversary that you see as an adversary, for your survival. So as a group of people, if you all of a sudden came upon a land and a group of people who were physically, due to their location and originality, were somewhat bigger or somewhat faster or somewhat fiercer of warriors, or somewhat had a more advanced culture and religious setups, had more advanced, cities compared to what you're used to, or what you've seen, or what you're used to, right? So now in nature, you are, and you feel like you are not superior because you're looking at and witnessing a superior group of people. So, like, for instance, if you are crossing the Mediterranean from Europe and you see pyramids, if you see monuments and museums and buildings and city. If you see that and you've never, if you yourself or your group hasn't developed it yet, you're obviously going to come to the conclusion that that group of people are superior, right? In that way. All right. And keep in mind, when I'm using superior, I'm not saying superior race as in some, ultra super Afrocentric placebo. We're just better than everybody. This is just nature. All right. You got different types of wolves, Some are bigger than others. Some are stronger than others. You got different types of dolphins, different types of whales, different types of sharks. You got different types of everything. And they all have their different attributes, okay? So if you are a group of people who run into another group of people who perceivably could be your adversary and they're advanced, you're going to do one or two things. You're going to learn from them, because, if they're willing to teach you, if they're not killing you, or you're going to mix with them, you're going to try to mix with them to maybe add to your genetic code, or you're going to destroy them somehow before they realize that they are, in fact, superior in certain ways that you deem yourself inferior from. Okay? So, but what you do is when you dominate a thing that you are, that is by nature superior than you have to trick it, right? Just like in the circus, how the ringmaster tricks the lion and the horses and the elephants that the ringmaster is superior, right? But that ringmaster knows that lion, anytime it wants to, can just come over there and boom, end it, one swipe. It knows that horse can just buck a couple of times and kill it with one hoof. It knows that elephant can just smack it with its trunk and end its life. It knows that it's not actually superior to those animals, but it knows that those animals don't necessarily see themselves as superior. They're just doing, what they do. They're just playing their role in nature, right? They don't see the ringmaster as a threat, necessarily. So once that ringmaster displays some sort of trickery, he's able to ensnare and trick the minds of those creatures to make those creatures do whatever it is that they want the ringmaster to do, whether it be embarrassing or not, right? So what else do you do when you run into a superior, that you deem superior culture? You study it. After you destroy it or you manipulate it, you don't just throw things away. You want to learn. You want to know, how is it that they did that and how come we can't do that? How come we never did that and how did they do that? So what do? They steal things. They take things. They dig things up. They create whole sciences, whole departments. Like we got one called Egyptology. How many different cultures have their own ontology, if you know what I mean? How many? They made a whole historical and scientific field of study just to figure out how it is that these group of people did this, because they still to this day cannot figure it out, because instead of learning from the people, they manipulated and destroyed the people. And because of natural occurrences, the original people themselves migrated southwards and created other empires. Okay, but that's all. That's a story for another day, right? But so at the same time, if you know this to be true, and we as human beings are jealous, so when we see something better or we perceive superior to us, we like to mess it up because our feelings are hurt because we didn't do it. We're not on top. So we destroy certain things, reminders. So we destroy statues, things that define that group. You destroy it so that it can't be remembered, right? You delete it, right? You block it, you unfriend it. That's what you do, okay? So you steal all the knowledge, right? You steal all the books, all the scrolls. You steal the people. You steal the products that you like. And then, you roll out and you destroy it, right? And you take away the evidence because you don't want these people to regain that, because clearly they have the capacity to do it. Any rational human being who would have been back then, who have saw something so magnificent, could know that the people who did that can do it again. Okay? Because they are intelligent. They're intelligent enough to know that. Now they've recreated it the best they could. They did Greece, they did Rome. You know, they had to slip up. Then the UK, you know, I mean, United Kingdom and Europe and all that stuff. You know, they started to make a resurgence, right? But at the same time, they always knew that there was something about this particular group of people that, you know, that they felt they had to fear, right? And all throughout history, that fear has always been known. That's why you had Munich's. You know, how even the Indians had the same fear, you know, but they understood we were the best warriors and soldiers. So they would import us, you know, they would hire mercenary African tribes, mercenary African kingdoms to come fight whole wars for them. Africans have been fighting wars on behalf of the Orient, or the people we call Arabs, against Asians, Mongols, Greeks, Romans, everybody. We have been mercenaries for thousands of years, paid and enslaved. And the enslaved ones, because they knew the value of what it is we had, and they were intimidated back then, they would cut off our genitals. Because that genital represents power, represents something that they knew to be true. That somehow, genetically, we were dominant. Somehow we had the ability to eliminate whole groups of people simply by mixing with them. Obviously. So you had to stop that, right? The same way we do our thoroughbred, you know, we do some way we do some of our pets, you know, our thoroughbreds. What do? You control the seat. You control the product. You don't just let your dog, your championship dog or your championship horse, just, you know, copulate with any old horse or any old dog. No. That's special. So you either let it happen or you don't, right? You control that, and that's what they did. They had to control it. Now, as a group of people, you know, when you're in charge, right? Because they were in charge, right? They successfully manipulated, destroyed, and plundered their way into world domination. But even though they did that, they always knew that there was a group of people who could genetically destroy them, who had the capability, if giving equality, outcompete them in every field, because they've already seen that we've done it before, right? They know that this group of people also, homeland is the most fertile in the world, right? It has every single thing that any human being could need. So you have a group of people who for some reason are big and strong and faster, who can withstand every single climate in the world, who obviously taught, you know, science and history and astrology and all this, obviously had all that knowledge, you know, and they have the best place to live in the world. They got the most minerals. I mean, they got everything. Why do they deserve to have all of that? So, because of the way they went about, you know, conducting themselves in the world, you know, as they took charge, you know, they abused that power, right? They abused that power, and they decided that these people are not just good as soldiers, not just good as, you know, ancient wars, but you know what? They're good workers too, you know, because they already have the knowledge. They can farm, they can build, they're engineers. Why not? We don't want to do it. Let's make them do it, because they can do it better. We already know that. Clearly, that's why we got them to do it, right? So, but the problem is, if your fear has always been genetic destruction due to, you know, just natural copulation between mixing, you know, which has always been highlighted in the African community through our monuments. Look at America, the most powerful place in the world, right? Designed to represent power. And it's at the center of that we have the monument. I think I talked about this in one of my previous videos. We have the monument. The monument represents power. It says we're America with a capital M, America, right? We're the best. You can't beat us. You know, we're the biggest, baddest boys in town. You can't do nothing. Look at my monument, right? The monument, you know, is a phallus. It's a penis. It's a humongous penis. That's what it is. Okay? You know, the Greeks, they call it obelisk. All right? They call it an obelisk. And the reason why they call it an obelisk, because an obelisk used to be, it was almost like a skewer. All right, they saw it and they reminded them of the skewers they used to use to poke, to hold their meat when they was eating their food. All right, that's all it is, obelisk. All right, but the Kemites, not the Egyptians, because that's a Greek word. The Kemites, that was a matrix. It's really the matrix. It's the matrix. It's a penis. A black penis is the matrix. All right, it's the symbol of power, and it's huge. And there's a reason for that. And so the Europeans knew that. The Greeks knew that. Romans knew that. So they still use the symbols to represent power. The swastika. The swastika is an old African symbol. Old African symbol. I could be wrong, but I think it's actually I think it's eternity or something like that. Somebody, if you know in the comment section, let me know. But I think it's like an eternity, or it's like a will of power. I don't know. I think it has something to do with eternity. But the swastika itself is a symbol. It's an African symbol, a good African symbol. And you can see that symbol being used for goodness in countries like Trinidad and Tobago. You go to Trinidad and Tobago, you'll see a huge swastika, on the road, on the big, huge, massive swastika on the side of the highway. You see it flown in the air, but it's not what people think, because some people still utilize the symbol in their religious, the religions and their spiritual systems. The Indians also utilize the swastika in some of their cultures as a religious or spiritual system, which they got from the Africans. Okay, so when Hitler and the Nazis, they used that symbol, they perverted it, but it's a symbol of power. When we see it, it evokes a feeling because they perverted it, but it's a symbol of power. All right, these are all African symbols of power. There are many other symbols of power that major multi-million-dollar and billion-dollar corporations use as their logos that are actually African symbols of power. Okay, so understand that. Even the greatest, most recognized symbol, the cross, is nothing but a perversion of the Ankh. All right, the Ankh is a modification of the woman. It's the woman. All right, you see a lot of West Africans. You see some of the same similar staffs where you see a big-breasted, big-bellied woman, emphasizing utility and sex and femininity. All right, these are all African symbols. The cross is nothing but a perverted Ankh, when the Ankh is nothing but a modification, one of the many African modifications of that woman, the Ma'at, nature, God. So understand, they still use our symbols. They use our signs. They use our symbols. They build their heroes off of us. Superman. What power is Superman? The sun. The sun makes Superman so powerful that you can't even relate to him as a human being. You can't relate to Superman. That's what makes him one of the most unique superheroes. You can relate to most of the other ones. You can't relate to Superman. He's too powerful. He gets charged up by the sun. His planet was destroyed, and there's only a few of them left. Right? Who are the children of the sun? We are. The sun powers us up, charges our melanin, makes it so we can survive in all climates. It fuels our bodies. It's what we were born under. The sun. What happens to them in the sun? What happens to them in the sun? And this is reality. This is nature. What happens with them in the sun? They burn up. They're not meant to be that close. They're not built that way. All right. They're cold weather hominids. All right. Europe, cold. Like black folks. We ain't meant to be in that super cold weather. We can deal with it. We ain't meant for that. Our lips break up. We can't take it. Not like they can, because they're meant for that. We're not meant for that. We're people of the sun. Okay. So understand that the fear, no matter what you do, no matter what happens, you gotta understand that they're trying to survive. What would you do if you knew that you and your people were facing genetic extinction, genetic annihilation? What would you do? You see, that's an anxiety. Us as Africans and black people, we don't have to worry about that. We never have to think about it. It's not something we even think about, because we know we'll be here until the earth is no longer habitable for humans. That's how long we'll be here. If we ever become a spacefaring human race, guess what? We'll be there. Guaranteed. We don't have to worry about that as a group of people. We worry about other things. We worried about being treated fair. We worry about equality and keeping our kids safe. We have our own set of worries, of course. That's important and relevant to today. But we got to understand why we going through what we're going through, and why the enemy will never let up. And racists will never let up. They can't do it. Even the ones that are not racist, but they want to survive too, as a group of people. So you got ones that are not racist, but they like, look, man, I want to survive as people too. Like we say Africa is for Africans, right? And we complain about how, oh, look at the Asian people moving in. Look at the Europeans moving in. Look at them, right? And we got reasons. We got reasons for that, but we say that all the time, right? So in Europe, because of the decisions that their leaders have made, right? They allowed, or they caused the conditions in the world to create the environments in other countries where people want to leave their countries and go to Europe. The place is nice. The place that benefited from all of their plundering throughout the centuries. It's only natural. You can't come to my house, destroy my house, and you go back to your nice house, take all my stuff to your nice house, and expect me to just, stand outside. No, I'm coming to your house because you got all my stuff there. And it's great over there. That's why I'm coming. All right. So that's a side effect they didn't think about. So Europe is not a very big place, even though, they try to pretend like the place is big, the maps are distorted, and you would think, you don't really understand the sizes of places. Europe's small. There's not a lot of real estate there. You know what I'm saying? So if you have people coming from massive continents, massive countries, flooding into a small little space, obviously they're going to start taking up everything. They're going to start bringing in their cultures. They're not going to conform to their culture. They're going to bring their own foods. Things are going to start smelling different. They're going to create their own businesses. They're going to start taking over. Right? And if your homeland is Dublin, if it's Belgium, if it's France, if it's Germany, all of a sudden, you're starting to see everybody else but you. You go outside, you don't see your country. You see another country. You see people from over there. You see those people. Right? So you get worried, obviously. So now not only are you losing, not only is your population is on an irreversible decline due to women just not having as many babies as they used to, and due to that, immigration is annihilation. That's multiculturalism. They can't survive in that situation. Now, there's a lot of Europeans who don't mind. They understand that they're part of the human race. They're just one. They understand that we are all humans, and even though we are different, we are all one. Really, at the end of the day, one race. We're all one group of people, honestly, And they don't mind blending back into the original. They don't mind coming back because they are human. They're humans. They see things differently, and there's a significant portion of Europeans believe it. They do believe that, despite what we see on TV. But there's also a significant portion of Europeans that want to maintain their Europeanness, despite the evil things that they do. Look, those are administrative things. Those are things they did when they was in power. And this is the reason why all this is happening. They manage the ship. This is how the ship's sinking. All right, but that's what's going on. That's what the fear is. The fear is the black. That's why we gotta keep these black people. These black men can't keep having these babies. You can't have my daughter. No, we can't have all these mixing. They see all these commercials and they see everybody all mixed up. They just seeing death and destruction. That's all they're seeing. And on top of that, now you got other brown people, like Mexicans and Salvadorans and stuff. And then you got these other brown people, the Asians. Shit, they're covered. They're surrounded. Okay, they're surrounded. So now, despite whatever they did, they're gonna have to fight, and they ain't gonna stop because you wouldn't either, right? You wouldn't either. We don't want the black race to disappear. We will fight to the death for our own people. Supposed to love you people. So they're going to do the same thing. Okay? So however way they do it, that's what they're going to do. And if you can really YouTube this. I mean, they say it themselves. Richard Spencer, that guy. Listen to him talk. Google him. YouTube him. YouTube racist speeches. Type in white genocide. Type in these things. They're talking about it. They make whole videos and clips, and they have campaigns and meetings and conferences about this. This is what it's about. So, understand that this is how they view the world. And that's on them. Because they can very well be just like, the white folks over here. Just like, hey, we're human. We all come from Africa at the end of the day. This is part of nature. You know, we mix together. That's just, you know, that's natural, and it's gonna be like that. You know, but no, they're trying to survive. So they need this racism. This racism is important. They can't let it go, because when they do, it's over. So I know I went on pretty long with this, but it's important that I say it. And you know, like I don't make quickies. If if you wanna listen to this, you're gonna have to listen to it. You know, you can't learn. You know, sometimes you can't learn or know about certain things just by listening to 2 or 3 minute clips. You know, you have to expand your attention span, so you can get some of this information that some people got, that some people have. Okay, so this is all I wanted to talk about today. This is Afro Think Tank. Learn something, teach something. I'm out.